Hi, sis. We are back together again. I'm Kitamu, and we are going to be going back into the book of Proverbs. If you are a mom who is really desiring to connect with the heart and mind of God for your family, for your children, particularly as you're raising them, teaching them, training, correcting, counseling them, then this is the spot for you. We are going to the book of wisdom to get wisdom for all of those daily decisions and conversations that we encounter. So, thank you for joining me. And we are just going on this journey together as moms pressing toward the mark, right? We are pressing in to do the right thing with the Word of God for the glory of God. So, join me as we go into Proverbs 21. I am reading from the King James Version, and I'm going to turn my camera so you can read along with me. All right. We're going to, our light is really bright. Let's see if we can get that where you can read along with me. Good. Excuse my throat. Wonderful Michigan weather. All right. We are going to be reading again in Proverbs 21. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. What a great prayer for appealing to our authorities in the home, in the land, in our jobs, situations to realize that above the king, that ruler of that situation, the Lord is in control of all of him or her and the situation. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will, turns it to his plan. Verse 2, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Oh boy, I know sometimes children are, when I've experienced when the children are naughty, do something wrong, they want to draw a picture, they want to give you a hug or a cuddle, and this is definitely a place where that word can come into them. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Just do the right thing and not try to apologize or make up for it on the other end. Verse 4, a high look and a proud heart and the plowing of the wicked is sin. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but of everyone that is hasty, only to want. That's a great one. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but the thoughts of a person who's diligent are always on what great thing can we do next? What's the next great, what project can we do? What goal can we accomplish? The thoughts of the diligent only to plenteousness, looking for a new a richer outcome, but of everyone that is hasty only to want. When we're hasty, we have, I think about deadlines. That puts me in the mind of a deadline that is coming. Hasty, like you're in a hurry, you're feeling pressed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling like you got to move fast. When you're in that state, you're only thinking about, oh, I don't have enough, don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough support to get the thing done. So putting ourselves in that place of being a diligent person, using the time we have so that we can reach the outcomes we want. Verse 6, the getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity, tossed to and fro of them that seek death. The robbery of the, I'm sorry, verse 7, the robbery of the wicked shall destroy them because they refuse to do judgment. They refuse to do judgment. Verse 8, the way of a man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. The way of a man is froward and strange. When you're talking about the carnal man, the way of that carnal man, froward, that means, again, that's a like a twistedness, a kind of backhandedness in it. Um, the way of a man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. Verse 9, it is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. This day and age, holding on to this word can spare us all, especially as family members, wives, mothers, this taking this thought into account, holding this word in account. It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. We see so many things in social media where we're seeing so many women who are kind of filling that definition of a brawling woman, always contentious, always got something to say, trying to be the boss or all this kind of bossy mentality. Is that really getting you the results you want? Is that really reaching your goals like you thought? Is that really garnering the respect and the love that you really want in your life? Being that, being that fighter, that not just a go-getter. That's different than being being diligent or being productive or being even assertive. Sometimes you have to take care of business. You have to be clear. You have to be clear. But brawling, Lord, help me not to be that fighter. Always fighting for the last word or fighting to be right or fighting to get my point out. That does not that doesn't cause people to want to be near you. Okay? Point blank. It is better to dwell in the corner of the house. People would rather sit in their room, get away from you, get out of the house, than to be with a brawling woman in a wide house. I've been in that mood where you just gotta get your voice out, gotta hear me. You're gonna hear what I got to say. You kind of trail around and following behind people. And then didn't you see this? And didn't you know this? And why are you doing that? Sometimes, we get like that with our kids on issues or situations, and it's not really producing, what we wanted, not giving us the results. Let's look back to verse 10 now. 21, verse 10. Are we in there? The soul of the wicked desireth evil. The soul of the wicked desireth evil. His neighbor findeth no favor in his eyes. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise. And when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge. Wow, it's a good relational thought. When the scorner is punished, there is a place for punishment sometimes. And it's for that scorner. Again, that's that person who thinks they know best. When the scorner is punished, the simple, the one who is just really doesn't really know anything yet, the simple. We talked about the different types of fools the other day. The scorner is a scornful fool, like a scorner is a type of fool. And then the simple is a type of fool, is a person who is just young or new to the situation. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise. That simple one is made wise. They are learning what not to do. And when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge. Now, if a person is already wise or has some level of wisdom and they receive instruction, when they're in a situation to get instruction, they receive knowledge. They'll increase. Just a wise person doesn't mean that they're unteachable. That means they've got some level of wisdom, some level of being able to hear and receive instruction, and they'll receive knowledge. Verse 12: The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. God does the overthrowing. The righteous man can observe, consider, consider it wisely, right? Observe, consider, think about it, ponder it, get some lessons from that 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 person, if you will, learning what to do, what not to do. But God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. Whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. A gift in secret pacifieth anger, and a reward in the bosom strong wrath. It is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. The workers of iniquity. We want to be on the other side, the joy part of this verse. It is joy to the just to do judgment, to do the right thing, to carry out the proper righteous thing, the just thing. Yeah, I want to resist saying fair because fair means that everybody gets the same thing, and just means everybody gets the proper thing. So I don't want to say that the joy of the just is to be fair, right? You can't be fair, and especially when you're dealing with, we're thinking of from a motherhood perspective. We're not always giving each child the same thing, but if we give them the right thing, the proper thing, the thing that they need, that's judgment. That is judgment. Judgment is weighing the requirements, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. Iniquity, that's sin, deep rooted sin, sinful tendency. There's destruction when we lean into those deep rooted tendencies, patterns, habits. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. Let's bring this up. Verse, see, let's see, verse 17. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. Now that's a rare couplet where both parts of the couplet are negative. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. Wow. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. Verse 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman. My, my, my. Woo! It's better to be in the wilderness. Man, you notice that like that first that earlier that verse. What did it say about dwelling in the corner of the house, the corner of the house top? You go rather go in the attic, but here he said it's better to go into the wilderness. Wow, than to be with a contentious and an angry woman. My goodness, that is definitely something to ponder. Lord, help me to unplug all that anger, right? Let's forgive so that that anger can cease. Let's not be contentious. Let's be humble and not like always like kind of going in that tug of war, contentious. Wow. Verse 20. There is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spendeth it up. Mm. Yeah, I'm noticing it talks about oil a couple of times here. Talks about oil. Talks about the oil in the dwelling of the wise here. And then what was the verse? Just a couple verses up. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man, but he that I'm sorry, he that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. And here it talks about there is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise. So the oil is not the problem, like right, having that oil, that richness, that fatness, that supply. The oil could be for like the lamps back in those days, right? The oil for cooking, the oil for um, smoothing the skin. All oil has a lot of different features, a lot of uses, like practical type uses in the household. And they're talking about the dwelling, right? The dwelling of the wise, the home of the wise. So there is treasure to be desired. There is treasure to be desired, and oil in the dwelling of the wise. Now, how is that contrast up here? It says, he that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. But there's a juxtaposition here. Let's see, verse 17, oops, verse 17 and 20. Treasure to be desired, and he that loveth pleasure. So it's okay so having that oil and that as a treasure is not a sin. Like that's not the sinful part. It's the heart posture towards that oil, towards that treasure that is where you're going to come into problem, right? It says the he that loveth wine and oil. Like this is his main focus. He loveth it. He's focused on it. That wine and that oil shall not be rich. And it says here, the foolish man spendeth it up. Spendeth it up. All that treasure is easily dissipated, quickly dissipated when there's the wrong focus on it. Verse 21. I find that even as you read through these scriptures, um, the of course every time you read through you kind of see something different, but one thing as you read you'll begin to see patterns, and that a pattern that I've seen over the years of reading in the Proverbs is that even though every verse doesn't necessarily relate to the other verses, right? You've seen that. You jump from talking about the slothful, and then over here you come talk about the just the righteous and the wicked. There's a each verse almost can stand alone sometimes a few verses do go together, and I've seen this often where it's almost like every other verse is like kind of telling a story or relaying a principle. And I'm not I like I haven't really I've noticed that pattern. I don't know why it's like that, and I wonder, am I miss it all? It makes you kind of really want to ponder a little bit more. Okay, so this verse and this verse correlate. So is that middle verse? it must correlate somehow, you know, and it must bring some you know, bring some depth or some connection to those verses, even though it may not say the same exact same words. But I have seen that. I've said, I don't know, it's just an observation. I don't really know what it means or how to what they call it, if there's some kind of specific poetic pattern, you know, but sometimes poems are like that, right? Every other line rhymes, and that just brings it, kind of helps you remember it more. So maybe that's why the Lord had it set up like that, because it's every other, just this little section just made me remember that that's a pattern I have seen. So that's something to kind of, you know, to kind of look for, to begin to bring some connectivity between the different verses. um, so it doesn't seem random. You know, you kind of, as you read it more, the randomness kind of falls away and you begin to see the connectedness. So just a little observation. And that's all. Okay. We are on that was verse 20. And we are on 21. Yep, that's right. He that followeth after righteousness and findeth, I'm sorry, I skipped a word. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness, and honor. Mm, what a verse for the path of life. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy, righteousness and mercy. Mm, so they're not the same thing, are they? Righteousness and mercy. Sometimes righteousness can maybe feel a little, maybe feel a little strict, like a little restricting, a little, maybe a little harsh sometimes. We're self-righteous. That's where it gets, you know, gets off track. But he that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth three things: finds life, finds righteousness, and honor. Hmm. Wow. Verse 22. A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of the confidence thereof. Mm, that's a kind of a strategy thing. That sounds like a battle strategy. A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, climbs up the city walls. Verse 23. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Mm. There was a verse we read a few days ago about keeping. Did we read that verse? Keeping. He that keep. Oh yeah. He that a fool is thought wise. You know, a man is a fool is thought wise when he holds his tongue. That kind of goes along with that a little bit. Um, that whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Verse 24. Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath. Mm. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. Ooh, boy, oh boy, that's quite a warning. The desire of the slothful killeth him. I'm dying of hunger, I'm dying, I don't have this. Just think about the drama of children sometimes. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. Mm. So he has that power to change his situation, but he's refusing. Verse 26. He coveteth greedily all the day long, but the righteous give and spareth not. Oh, I'm sorry. I read that kind of choppy. Those go together. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. He coveteth greedily all the day long, but the righteous giveth and spareth not. Mm-hmm. So the righteous worker is giving, and the slothful worker is actually covetous. He's holding greedily, covetous, coveteth greedily all the day long. Verse 27. The sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. How much more when he bringeth it with a wicked mind? A false witness shall perish, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly. A false witness. Okay, we summarize that person as a liar. A false witness, someone who lies, who is not truthful, shall perish. But, so the opposite, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly, speaketh with a constancy, with a trueness, not one day it's a, well, it was this, and the next day, well, maybe not. Well, it was this the other day, and then there's a constantness, speaketh constantly, speaketh with a constant story, consistency. Verse 29, a wicked man hardeneth his face, but as for the upright, he directeth his way. Verse 30, there is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. I love that. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. Holding that truth, that we hear a lot of stories, a lot of conversations, just different podcasts and different things. Everyone has some theory or some philosophy or some counsel to give or some advice. But if we kind of start with the baseline understanding that there is no wisdom, there's no understanding, and there's no counsel against the Lord. There's none of those things supersede what God says. None of that counsel or that philosophy or that whatever those words, those um trapping, they kind of like they kind of like become a trap. It sounds so good, it sounds so eloquent, but if it's against the Lord, it's not acceptable. Hold that truth. Last verse 31. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. Love that. The horse, in the olden days, obviously they use horses and wagons and different types of trailers or different things, to chariots, to go to battle, to do war against their enemy. So the horse, they get their horses ready, hitch them up, get ready to go for battle. But safety is of the Lord. You can do all the prep work. You can do all the setting up. You do all the gearing up. You've been working on it for a while. But safety is of the Lord. He is the only guarantee. He holds the guarantee of safety. So it's not guaranteed that you do all these preparations and you're going to get the desired outcome. Only the Lord has that in his hands. So on that, good word to kind of chew on even today, that our preparations necessary. You see a thing coming, you see a situation coming, you see hardships down the way, you see a battle forming. So you get your horses ready. You get ready. But know that the Lord is still the guarantee. It says the safety is of the Lord. He is the one. No matter how much we have in reserve, no matter our how much we've prepared, God is the only one that has our safety guaranteed in his hands. So remember that as we press toward the mark today, keep that word close to your heart. God bless, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye bye.